Midfield meeting of the two head coaches. Brent Guy on the left of Utah State, Bronco Mendenhall of BYU, and that's all everything quarterback Max Hall trying to keep the perfect season alive for the Cougars. A perfect Friday evening in the Cache Valley for college football as Utah State and BYU will tee it up for the 78th time. Hi, everybody. Steve Brown along with Mike Norseth. And Mike, it looks like a mismatch perhaps because the Cougars have done everything so well on the season, but in the wacky world of college football, anything is possible now.
Well, it certainly is, and all we have to do is look back to last week. Number 1 USC goes up to Corvallis to play Oregon State. They get beat. After that, 4 other teams in the top 10 lose. Utah State is looking for that big upset, beating another top 10 team tonight. All
right, let's talk about BYU first. And when you do, you've got to talk about quarterback Max Hall. The national rankings, 4th in touchdown passes, 4th per game passing, efficiency 6th. And he's doing it in less than 3 quarters of play because the Cougars are so dominant. Being compared to former Cougar greats, he understands the comparison and the responsibility.
There's pressure to play BYU to live up to the tradition of some of the quarterbacks and Heisman Trophy winners and guys who played here. It just makes you work hard, and hopefully one day to just maybe even be mentioned with those guys would be an honor in itself.
Well, he's getting mentioned already, and it's well-deserved. You look at what he did last year, throwing for over 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns. They were 11-2, won the conference. So you look at what he does this year, it's even better. 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, completing 74% of his passes. He's doing everything, and most importantly, he's won his last 14 starts.
And on the other side of the ledger, when you talk about Utah State, a few weeks ago we were here when they played Utah. They had all kinds of problems offensively. In fact, the start of the season was a disaster offensively for them, but that has all turned around in their last outing against Idaho. Look at the numbers to the right side. Dramatic difference on the offensive side of the football.
Well, there was last week, and they made a change at quarterback. Sean Setzer got the start the first 3 games. He played decently, but he wasn't creating the big plays. They went to DeAndre Burrell. Burrell's the type of athlete at quarterback position that can get to the outside. They're going to sprint him out. They're going to drop him back. They're going to run the option. And they think it allows them to put more pressure on BYU's defense tonight.
And the Aggies will need some offense tonight. They've got to keep that defensive unit off the field all night and give them a little bit of fresh legs. But it's the Cougars and the Aggies, and it's the 78th encounter. It's coming at you next, live.
Cache Valley, and the Sunflowers are out on a beautiful Friday evening. 7th-ranked BYU taking the field to meet Utah State here in Romney Stadium, trying to avoid an upset in this in-state encounter. And we talked about upsets. As you look at Coach Brent Guy, he would love to pull one off tonight, but there have been some upsets in the last 8 days in the wacky world of college football. SC losing to Oregon State. There you see the others. Urban Meyer's team losing to Ole Miss. And BYU winning the national championship in 1984 because of some upsets of their own. And on that football team, this fresh-faced kid. Where is time gone? We'll find out more as we now join him a few years later and a few pounds more down on the sidelines. Alema Harrington. Alema, how you doing down there?
Well, I'm doing a lot better than I was. Maybe I'm not doing as well as I was right there. I don't know who got you those pictures, but they're in big trouble. I'll tell you what, you talk about upsets. BYU's familiar with them. 84 national champion year. Talking to Robert and I, hey, that win over Pitt got things rolling for them. But right now, it's a whole different story. The only thing about upsets they're worried about is getting upset. They're the favorites, number 7 coming into this game in the nation. On the other side of the ball, however, a completely different story. The Utah State Aggies, they're trying to get an upset. In fact, their defensive coordinator, Mark Johnson, telling his team, a win in a game like this is the kind of win that can change your life. That's what the Aggies are looking for tonight, changing their lives with a win over number 7 BYU.
Here's a look at Bronco Mendenhall. And, you know, Mike, in the history of college football, Alema really owes that 84 national championship ring to you in part at Kansas.
Well, we certainly had a part of it. We played number 1 Oklahoma. It was the first time Kansas had beat Oklahoma in about 20 years, and I was back there a couple weeks, and he's right when Mark Johnson said it changes lives. They're still talking about it. I brought my daughter back there. I showed her the pond they put the goalpost in after we beat them. It was chaos. They're still talking about it. It would be a great opportunity for Utah State to play this number 7 team tonight.
Well, it's just about time to get underway. Tonight's opening kickoff is brought to us by Goyen. It is go time, and deep to receive for Utah State, Curtis Marsh, along with Chris Harris. And here comes the kick, and we will be underway for the 78th time in this rivalry. And it drives Harris back into the end zone deep, and he will take a knee, and will start at the 20-yard line with Utah State, as the Aggies would like to do something early and not fall behind, because this BYU potent offense, the best way to negate them is to keep them off the field. And there's a look at the quarterback, DeAndre Burrell, and you see his numbers against Idaho in the win 2 weeks ago. Both teams coming off bye weeks, but 12 of 21 for 191 yards, a pair of touchdowns. And this is a guy who will probably lead this team for most of the season in both rushing and in passing. Now, if that doesn't happen, that would be good news for the Aggies. But on 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line, they'll operate from the I formation. And DeAndre Burrell will call the signals as Morrison was in motion. They'll keep it on the ground on 1st down and run up the middle. Curtis Marsh is the running back. And we now take a look at tonight's starting lineups brought to us by FSN Utah. We'll start with Utah State up front.
Well, you look up front, Ryan Tonemacher, the center. He's the leader right there. He's on the Remington list. It's got to start with him. Derek Hoke wants to be mentioned, and not only a tall guy at 6'9", but also a great blocker. Look in the backfield, Otis Nelson has been their leading receiver, but you look to the other side, Stanley Morrison's a guy averaging over 16 yards a catch. He's very quick down the field.
Marsh is the motion man, and so they'll keep it to the quarterback, and Burrell was the man who was brought down by Brett Tenney. BYU not fooled at all on that play and losing yardage. The 6 that were picked up on 1st down, now lost and then some.
Well, when you run the option, you got to make a good read right there. Right there, Burrell doesn't make a good read, Steve. He should have let the ball go. Either that or get quickly away from the defensive back. Too much movement right there. Things have to happen real quick in this offense.
So it's 3rd and 9 after the loss. The BYU getting defensive signals from the sideline. They've got a little sign that they hold up there. We may get a look at that a little bit later, but it's 3rd and 9 now in the empty backfield for DeAndre Burrell. He'll call his own number, goes up the middle, and he's brought down at about the 25-yard line. Again, BYU's defense closing quickly and not fooled on that play. It was Jorgensen, the man who wrapped him up, and it brings up a 4th down. So 3 and out for Utah State. Not the way you hope to start, Mike.
Well, it certainly wasn't. Brett Guy was talking all week about the fact that they went to the switch last week to Burrell quarterback, partly because the Setzer wasn't able to get any 1st downs in first drives with the first 3 games. They do the same thing here. What they have to do is group up defensively, try to get 3 and out on BYU and get the ball back.
O'Neal Chambers standing back to receive the punt, and this ball will turn over and drive him back inside his 30-yard line to the 28. Chambers is still on his feet. A flag goes in, and he comes out to the 32-yard line before he's wrapped up, but there is a flag back there, and that's typically a hold or a block in the back. We'll have to wait and see. And then Utah State celebrating the fact that it was a short return. Quinn Garner, one of the first men on special teams to get in there. And we'll wait for the call.
It's going to be a block in the back. Steve is right there at the point of the catch. And this is a good opportunity for Utah State. They're going to push him back to about the 15-yard line. An opportunity for them to set him back.
During the return, block in the back. Return team 17. Distance. 1st down.
G. Pittman was the man who was charged with it.
You can see it right there. Get a little push right there. This is just one play right there, Steve. You got to run off the side of him.
And it does put BYU back at the 20-yard line as Max Hall will bring out the BYU Cougars. 107 of 144, 15 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, and 180 plus in the efficiency rating. And he'll go right to the air on 1st down, surprising nobody. Pass is complete right across the middle, and that's Fui Vakapuna who received the pass. Jake Hutton bringing him down from his linebacking spot. As we look at the BYU offense, again, our FSN Utah starting lineups.
Well, you look up front, Dallas Reynolds is the starter there at the center position. He's also on the Remington Road, a 4-year starter. They have not allowed a sack so far this year. Look to the outside. Austin Colley's the leading receiver, but really what they're going to do, Steve, you talk about them, they're going to run the football, and then hit you with the pit of the tight end.
Colley is the motion man. Unga flanking his quarterback. And Hall to the air again on 2nd down. Stepping up, plenty of time, wants the big gainer, and in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Luke Ashworth. In coverage was Kejon Murphy for Utah State. But Max Hall and Robert and I, as offensive coordinator, not shy about going for it right down the middle of the field.
Well, you look at the protection first, Steve. He's got all time. He sees there's no free safety. He throws it out there. This is absolutely perfect throw right here. Kejon Murphy just makes a better play. Doesn't really get a hand on it, but he gets in there. Yep, he does block it just a little bit. makes the receiver unable to catch. A great play by Kejon Murphy on the outside.
Unga and Vakapuna now in the backfield as they flank Hall from the shotgun on 3rd down and 6. That's Unga in motion, flexed out to the near side, and Hall will go to the air again. Again, all kinds of time. The comeback route is complete to Austin Collie, who's got some running room. Collie down the sideline. One man a chance to get him, and Collie straight arms him and scores a touchdown. Austin Collie with the straight arm to free himself for the touchdown. Caleb Taylor was the last man who had a chance at him, and Collie scores. BYU going to the air on every down in that first possession. Not that there were that many of them.
Well, again, Steve, it's the time right here, but watch the block that Harvey Unga makes on the outside, number 45. Comes right in there, makes the block, allows Austin Collie to get down, and I think Austin Collie surprised the Utah State defenders a little bit. Looked like they had the angle on him. He just outran him to the end zone.
PAT coming from Mitch Payne. And that kick splits the uprights, and just that quickly, BYU leads Utah State with a 7-0 count. Austin Collie on the receiving end of the touchdown pass deposits the last man himself, and we'll be back. BYU with the early touchdown takes the lead over Utah State as we welcome you back to Romney Stadium in Logan and look at the scoring recap brought to us by ARS Flood and Fire Cleanup, helping people in Utah put their homes, businesses, and lives back together. 3 plays to go, 80 yards, and the 76-yard touchdown pass, longest of the season for Collie on a reception. He has now 6 touchdown catches as the ball taken in the end zone by Marsh, and he'll bring it out across the 15 down to about the 17-yard line, and he's snowed under, so Utah State will start their second offensive series from their own 17. Mike, that was a pretty impressive 3 downs of offense.
Well, it really was. I mean, the first 2 downs, Utah State did a good job. They had them in a bad situation. They were 3rd down and 6, and so it was an advantage to Utah State. They just have to find a way to get some pressure on this quarterback. I know it's going to be difficult. Last year, BYU only gave up 1.5 sacks. So far this year, they haven't given up a sack in 4 games, so it's going to be tough, but they got to figure out a way to put some pressure on the quarterback. If they don't, Max Hall is going to sit back there and pick them apart like he did with that.
From the 17, 1st and 10 for Utah State. Need to get something offensively in this series. On the option, the little toss to the outside, and that's Marsh brought down at the 20-yard line, pulled down by David Nixon for BYU. As we look at that Cougar defense, that has been awful stingy. Hasn't been scored on in the last 2 games, Mike.
Well, they've pitched 2 shutouts, outscoring their opponents 103-0. Jan Jorgensen, 14 sacks last year. He leads the team this year with 2. He's the leader up front. Linebackers have done a very nice job as well, Steve, of getting to the ball, getting the outside, and what we see is a lot of speed out of them.
From the I formation now for Utah State, a pickup of 4 on 1st down. Sawyer is the motion man, now sets to the top of the screen, and again Marsh, the ball carrier, runs into a wall of blue and white at the 20-yard line and stacked up for no gain, maybe even a loss of a yard or so on the play. Denny was the man who first got to him. There's a look at Bauman and Dolman. You've got some names on that defense, very active. And there's Bronco Mendenhall, not only the head coach, but the guy who runs that defense as well.
Well, they've been successful so far in the first 2 drives, Steve, of getting penetration by the defensive line. They're only rushing 4 guys, but in this run game, what they're doing is they're kind of blowing up the holes in the lanes and allowing the linebackers and their speed to be able to come down and get them from behind.
Burrell from the shotgun. He'll keep it himself, tuck it inside. He's got a 1st down and into the secondary across the 31 to the 32-yard line where Fowler brings him down. Kellen Fowler wrapping him up for BYU, but not before he moves the chains, and that's a positive for the Aggies.
Well, it really is, and this is the reason why DeAndre Burrell got the start last week and why he's starting again tonight, Steve, because it allows them to have that running quarterback position, and you saw how elusive he is right there. It's almost like a wide receiver playing a running back position at the quarterback spot, so it creates a lot of opportunity for them offensively.
High formation with Sawyer in motion for Utah State. Burrell looks to throw, throws out to Sawyer on the near side. It's complete. And out near the 40-yard line, driven out of bounds at about the 39 by Brandon Howard for BYU.
I really like the way the start is right here. They're trying to run the football. Now they're getting Burrell into it in the passing game. A quick little pass. Otis Nelson, the wide receiver out there, but he makes a nice block on the Nixon, the linebacker, and a good gain for him, 8 yards.
So 2nd and 2 for Utah State. Aggies with a first down. They trail 7-0 early, but a much better series so far for DeAndre Burrell. 3 and out the first time. Keeping the ball on the ground again. It's Ronald Scott, the ball carrier, and out near a first down. He'd be very close depending on the spot. And it is a first down, the preliminary indication. So the Aggies again will move the box. And keeping that BYU defense on the field and that offense off the field, Mike, you can't stress that enough.
Well, you really can't. And again, we talked to all the Utah State coaches, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach Brent Guy. They all said the same thing. Offensively, we've got to be efficient. We've got to be obviously put some points on the board. But more importantly, we've got to get some first downs and hold on to the ball a little bit. 2 first downs in this drive is a great comeback from BYU's quick score.
Burrell keeps, and Burrell probably wishes he hadn't, as he is wrestled down by Denny. And Scott Johnson coming in to help clean up as well as we look at tonight's Keys to the Game, brought to us by the Larry H. Miller Dealerships. After all, you know this guy. And for the Aggies?
Well, it's changing things up, Steve, and that's what they've done. They've gone to the pistol offense. They're spreading guys out. They're running guys in different directions, motions, a lot of different formations, and they have to kind of confuse BYU with some things they're doing and maybe catch them off guard. The second is play with emotion. They got down 7-0 early. They've got to be fired up on the sidelines, use the crowd to try to pick them up a little bit. They got to continue with emotion the entire game. Robert
Turbin in now at running back for the Aggies next to his quarterback, and somebody seeing something they didn't like. Utah State decides to take a timeout. Brent Guy will talk to his charges. It's a 7-0 BYU lead early in the first quarter from Logan. Welcome back to Logan, everybody. BYU with a 7-0 lead over Utah State, but the Aggies facing 2nd and 14 as Turbin in the backfield for Utah State, who had a nice outing against Idaho, over 100 yards on the ground. That's Morrison, the motion man. The fake is to Turbin. And now Burrell, with no place to go, fumbles the football. And a ball on the tip of the 40 picked up by BYU, and this one could go back all the way, and indeed it does. Boy, talk about breaks for BYU as they made their own, and Brandon Bradley scooped up the loose football and returns it for a touchdown. And just that quickly, the Aggies find themselves in a hole as DeAndre Burrell fumbling the football.
Well, it's probably going to be holding up front, Steve. And one thing I was going to...
Shot block. Offense, number 77 and number 61. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, touchdown.
And the touchdown as called.
Well, you can see right here, Steve, he's going to fake it. One thing that Burrell has to do, he's got to get into the hole and just go. He's going to learn that he can't continue to dance around. He's got to beat him upfield, slash a little bit, juke, and then, of course, you've got to secure the football when you're going into traffic right there. Big break for BYU, the way that it pops out to the outside for the touchdown and the quick score.
So Bradley scooping it up and running in for the touchdown, and BYU trying to go up 14-0. 7th-ranked team in the country and doing nothing to belie that ranking right now, as they have been totally dominant here, offensively and defensively. We're still in the first quarter, still a long way to go. But here comes the PAT attempt from Mitch Payne. It is up, and it is good. He is now 24 of 26 on the season in PAT tries, and it's a 14-0 lead for BYU. So Utah State having some adversity early. 7-0, they're down after giving up the big play on the touchdown pass, and now the defense creating problems and converting for the score as we look at the keys to the game for Brigham Young University. Brought to us by the Larry H. Miller Dealerships.
Well, don't be overconfident. It certainly doesn't look the way they've started out. 2 series on defense, 1 on offense, 14-0 lead. They haven't been overconfident. They took this game seriously, regained momentum, and the momentum was the off week, Steve. They had the last game against Wyoming. The starters were basically pulled halfway through the third quarter. They had the off week. It looks like they've come back very fresh and on target.
Yeah, both teams coming off a bye, and the question is that a positive or a negative? Bronco Mendenhall said he didn't really like a bye week at any time, and but it does give you a chance, your players a chance to rest and get healthy again, and it looks like they're not skipping a beat. For Utah State, they come off that 42-point outing against Idaho. They'd like to find some of that magic right now as they trail 14-0, and the kick is on the way, and it's Harris, 6 yards deep in the end zone. He'll bring it out. Harris up the middle of the wedge. Harris has got some room, spins, the flag goes in, but Harris has got some running room. Harris got one man to beat, and he couldn't do it. But Harris with a great run on the play. Now let's see what happens on this one, whether it's going to come back or not, because the flag went in early in the return. Justin Sorensen, the kicker, was the man who stopped him.
Well, it's definitely coming back here, Steve.
Block below the waist on the receiving team, number 27. That penalty is assessed half the distance to the goal. Utah State keeps the ball. First down.
Curtis Marsh, the man who was charged with the low block. And that's going to bring this one back, but a great return on the play by Chris Harris.
Yeah, it was a great return, Steve. But I mean, I'm of the thought here as we watch this return, left-hand side, Curtis Marsh right there. Knocking down, you just can't do that. But, you know, I think that when you kick the ball in the end zone as a receiving team, you just got to take your lumps, take it to the 20-yard line, and don't worry about it. I mean, I know there's a big play capability. They got it out to the halfway, the midpoint of the field without the penalty there. But anytime you put your guys inside the 20 to start off, especially when you're 14-0, it's difficult.
Robert Turbin is the single setback, and he'll get the call on first down from the 8, spinning his way through and picking his way through traffic, and gets out across the 15-yard line. Bauman was the one who wrapped him up. A little breathing room for Utah State, though, on second down.
Well, they've obviously seen something in the films that BYU is a little vulnerable to running the football, because really, Steve, in the first 4 games up until last week against Idaho, really hadn't had a whole lot of success running the football. Offensive line obviously is doing a better job, but I think they really have to attack. Don't dance around the back. If you're going to option as a quarterback, either give it to him or get out quick to the outside.
8-yard pickup, 2nd and 2. The throw to the outside by Burrell. The pass is complete. And the receiver was Omar Sawyer, and he's brought down by Colby Clausen out there. But it is a first down for Utah State, and they'll move the chains. Clausen closing, but not until after the reception was made, and the first down gain for the Aggies.
Well, one of the things you have to do when you're playing the number 7 team in the nation, Steve, is you've got to be successful on a lot of opportunities right now, and you can't make the mistakes. They had the early mistake with the fumble. They've got to come back, regroup a little bit, keep their heads up, and continue to do what they did the last drive and what they've started out here.
Burrell looking. Now he's got to move. Now he throws complete to Turbin. Turbin out across the 20. And maybe back to the original line of scrimmage before Tafuna. David Tafuna closes him down. That Utah State offense trying to move the ball against a BYU defense, as we said, Mike, very stingy so far this season. We're going to take a look at that defensive line.
Well, we talked about that. Jan Jorgensen, the leader with the sacks right there. They haven't been able to put any pressure so far, rushing 3 and 4 guys. The linebackers, Matt Bauman has been one of the leaders. David Nixon, interception return for a touchdown so far this year. And if there's any weakness, really, when you talk to people, it's their secondary, although they've played very well in 2 shutouts the last 2 weeks.
And Burrell rolling to the right side with the throw off the run, and he's accurate. Passes complete to Otis Nelson. Tafuna again in coverage, bumps him out of bounds, but not before the chains will move one more time. And impressed with the young man's throw on the run, Mike.
Well, it's a good throw. And this is one of the things he's probably better outside the pocket as he gets here. He does a great job for the young guys, getting his hips around, throws the ball out in front of him. It's a super play by the quarterback and receiver. And these are the plays that are going to be available to him, because BYU most of the time is going to sit back in zones. You got some guys running across the face. And as long as Burrell can get outside the pocket, get away from pressure, not have the big guys in front of him, he's going to have an opportunity to put some balls down the field.
Empty backfield now for Burrell as Turbin flexes to the top of the screen, and Burrell throws quickly to the near side, intended for Nelson, in and out of his hands. The pass is incomplete. Darrell Dickey, offensive coordinator for Utah State, worries about the pressure that BYU can get, and so far they haven't been getting great pressure, but he says they can get it with a 3 or 4-man front, and he really wants to keep them off balance with the play calling. As you look at head coach Brent Guy, so far the Aggies been pretty effective. They trail 14-0, but at least on this series, showing the ability to move the football as they flex Morrison out to the near side, and in the slot is Nelson. Here comes the pressure. Well, they showed blitz, and the flag goes in early as Burrell is flushed out of the pocket. Turbin trying to give him a block on the outside, and he's moved out of bounds, a loss of a couple on the play, but there's a flag on the near sideline. It was Pritchard who bumped him out of bounds on the far side. We'll see what the infraction is here as the officials will confer.
It looked like the tight end might have been lined up offside, Steve. A little legal procedure.
Yeah, there you see the indication.
Illegal formation offense. Only 6 players on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
So you got to have enough on the line of scrimmage, and they didn't.
Well, you're looking at it, Steve. Sometimes they'll call this guy on the outside here if he's not close enough to the line of scrimmage. It looks like he stepped back a little bit. So if you count, there's 5 linemen and the guy up top 6. So they're going to call the left tackle that time and not being on the line of scrimmage. And that's a little tight call right there.
On 3rd and 11, Morrison will reset to the near side. He's the motion man as a flag flies before, and a hit on the quarterback after the whistle had gone, and that's going to be a late hit. And now some little chippiness out there, but coming in, I believe it was number 94 on the play. Is that Brock Richardson, the defensive lineman for BYU? Somebody hit the quarterback after those flags had flown, and everybody else had kind of pulled up, and I just don't think he got the he didn't hear the whistle. And you see him pleading his case. Actually, it's Jorgensen, number 84, pleading his case out there, telling the official, hey, I didn't hear it.
2 dead ball fouls against the defense. Delay of game will be assessed 5 yards. Dead ball, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards from that dead ball spot. 1st down.
So Jorgensen just not hearing the whistle, Mike, and you can see he didn't pull up.
Well, it's hard to see. We'll see it right here, what he does right here. But Burrell obviously stops right here. He's not doing anything. I guess he's coming from the ground there, so we'll give him a little bit of break. But I don't think the quarterback's going to be sitting there.
Yeah, and there you see Jorgensen said, hey, I just didn't hear the whistle.
Now, and that's one of the things, Steve, you talk about, the roughing the passer, these late hits, the helmet to helmet. And a lot of times in football, things just happen. I mean, you're down on the ground, you're fighting, you're scrapping, you got a 300-pound guy pushing on the back of your head. I mean, sometimes you're just fighting just for your, take a breath out there sometimes, and you hit a guy in the helmet head to head, and you can't, always, make up for that.
So it is a 1st down for Utah State. The ball at the 47-yard line. And Burrell with the give. Marsh on the near side and turns it up across midfield. He's rolled down to the ground by Jorgensen. But Curtis Marsh, pickup of about 4 on the play. Aggies, who had struggled on offense in the first 3 games, still getting at least into the starting to get some offense after the Idaho game. But you see, last year and this year, they are still struggling to move the football, and that's not going to make offensive coordinator Darryl Dickey very happy.
Well, it starts up front. The offensive line so far, Steve, other than the first drive, they've come out and they've done a pretty good job against this good BYU defense.
Burrell to the air. He's got plenty of time, wants it all. Now he's fumbled the football, hit from the backside. And BYU's recovered. Colby Clausen stuck a helmet on him. Looked like he had some time, rolled into what looked to be a pocket. And then Colby Clausen from the backside, putting him to the turf, and the fumble recovered by BYU. So the Aggies turning the football over one more time.
Well, you're going to see from the outside, Clausen's going to just keep coming to the outside. And what happens is Burrell, he sprints out. He thinks he has something, so he pulls up. Well, everybody's expecting him to get to the outside. He's got to continue. He's either got to set, throw it right here, or continue, because his blockers are out in front of him, and they can't block anybody on the backside that time. That one's on Burrell.
And Clausen putting the helmet to him, so it's 1st down for BYU on the Aggie 46-yard line after the fumble by the quarterback. Unga, the ball carrier, goes around the left side, and Unga steps inside a block and has a 1st down inside 35, and a flag goes in late. Davon Hall riding him out of bounds, but a flag at about the 34-yard line. We'll let the officials confer on this one as well. You saw there, Unga, though, not only has the bruising size, but he's also got the speed.
Holding, offense number 10.
And maybe that's one reason he got to the outside.
On the spot of the foul, replay 1st down.
J.J. DeLuigi was the man who got flagged with the hold, the blocking back. Bronco Mendenhall, his team leading 14-0, but not the performance on that play. He wanted the execution from his 7th-ranked Cougars. Aggies showing some pressure up front. Now back out of the blitz. Now they bring it again from the other side. And the throw is complete. Pitta, first time we called his name. Dennis Pitta, the tight end, inside the 40 before Jake Hutton wraps him up and brings him down for Utah State.
Now, this is one of the things that makes BYU so potent offensively, Steve. You saw in the first drive, they went to the wide receivers to the outside. They were throwing. Then they come back with the run game. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's this Dennis Pitta that we haven't talked about who has 30 catches so far on the season and 3 touchdowns. So they have a lot of weapons. And again, starts up front, offensive line, give Max Hall time to throw. He's got a lot of places to go with it.
Dan Pitta is the tight end, but they flexed him out to the top of the screen as Hall with a ball fake and now throws to the outside. And Colley, the receiver on the play, bumped out of bounds by Murphy. Colley, of course, already had a 76-yard touchdown early in the game. His longest touchdown catch of the season and his 6th reception for a touchdown.
Well, what happens there is they put Pitta out in the slot, as you said, to the open side of the field, to the downside, Steve. All they have is a tackle and then a wide receiver. So basically what you have is you have man-to-man coverage right here with not much help from the inside because they're worried about the run game inside. And then you have man-to-man coverage. Good read by Hall.
Unga, the ball carrier. And Unga for a pickup of 2 or 3 on the play. Davon Hall wrapping him up at the ankles and bringing the big fella down. Unga's got some size on him. He's listed 6 feet, 239 pounds, and he's every bit of that.
Well, and he just came off a great season last year, Steve. Second to Luke Staley's numbers in 2001. He ran for over 1,200 yards, and he also catches the ball very well. 44 catches for 655 yards. This year doing again the same thing, averaging almost 5 yards a carry and 18 receptions so far.
Ball again to the air on second down. He had Colley. That ball looked like it was deflected by Bobby Wagner, and Colley couldn't make the adjustment, and it's incomplete. There's a look at number 40, Wagner.
Well, nice play by Wagner here, Steve. You're going to see him on the top of the screen. He's going to come. He has the outside. He's got to get outside. Very difficult for an outside linebacker to get all the way out to the numbers. He does exactly what he's supposed to do, tips it away from Colley.
Now 3rd and 8 facing the Cougars. Aggie defense trying to stop this BYU scoring threat. They trail 14-0. An offensive and a defensive touchdown on the part of the Cougars, accounting for the scoring. Hall throws to Pitta, and Pitta can't bring it in. Well, that's a rare miss. If Pitta gets his hands on it, he usually catches it, and at the 4-yard line, that one just bounced off his hands. Good coverage by Utah State, but there was a lane, and Hall found it. Pitta just couldn't haul it in. And it brings up 4th down.
One of the things coaches talked about, both Utah State and also Bronco Mendenhall, Robert and I of BYU, was saying how good Max Hall has been of throwing the football on target and put it in there. Great throw right here. Pitta's got to come down, and normally does.
So field goal attempt coming. It'll be a 45-yarder. Still first quarter. BYU trying to extend the lead, and that kick is up. And plenty of distance on it, and it is good. And it's a 17-0 Cougar lead here in the first quarter at Romney Stadium. Cougars ranked 7th in the country coming in, and Mitch Payne has just given them the 17-0 edge with that field goal. That kick splits the uprights, and we'll be back. It'll be Aggie football as we return. Sun setting in the west, and the Aggies hope it's not setting on their chances for tonight's game as they trail BYU 17-0 here in the first quarter from Logan. Welcome back, everybody. Cougars just got a 45-yard field goal to extend their margin. And now they'll kick off as that kick is going to be fielded in the end zone by Chris Harris. He'll bring it out across the 15 and out to the 19-yard line where he is stuffed. But Mike, it has been big plays on the part of the Cougars that have led to this early lead.
Well, it really has. Max Hall started off with a good pass to Austin Colley. He gets to the outside. He's going to take it all the way to the house. Great block by Harvey Unga, the running back that was downfield on a pass route. Gets him up 7-0. Utah State, after a couple first downs on the next drive, Burrell, the quarterback, comes in, loses the ball right here, gets picked up by Brandon Bradley. He's going to run it in for the touchdown, 14-0. And then again, Burrell coming, sets up, has a little bit of time to throw, but gets hit hard in the back, sets up the field goal, 17-0 BYU.
Yeah, now first down on the 20 for Utah State. Ball's popped up and it's picked. Intercepted by BYU. Another turnover as David Nixon has his second pick of the season. And a flag goes in late on that sideline as he's knocked out of bounds. Well, Nixon, who returned one for a touchdown against Wyoming, has picked another one. And the flag goes in late, and this Aggie crowd stunned.
Well, it really couldn't start any worse for them, Steve. You know, they give up the big play for the touchdown. They came back, got a couple first downs, fumbled the football, gets picked up, and run for a touchdown.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, late hit out of bounds, 87. Half the distance, first down.
Doug Barber whistled for the personal foul.
Well, when things start going bad, Steve, again, this is a situation right here. They have a pretty good play. They're thrown to the tight end right here. Ball's a little bit fast, a little bit high. And then again, when things are going good, they're going good. Nixon just pops right in his hands. He gets the outside. And again, the frustrations right here of Utah State going to come in. Burrell trying to get a little pop. And then Barber, you see 87 knocking down Denny, 92, the defensive lineman.
From the 11-yard line now, 1st and 10 for BYU. And they'll give it to Unga. Unga powering ahead inside the 5, and Unga into the end zone. Touchdown Cougars. They wasted no time, 11 yards. Harvey Unga just continuing the leg drive, and he's into the end zone. And as you said, Mike, couldn't have started any worse for Utah State.
Well, and defensively, you know, they did a pretty good job last time. They had the fumble, they gave up the field goal, but you know they didn't give up the touchdown. The other touchdown came and obviously ran it all the way back, so they did a pretty good job that time right there. That's what we talked about, the emotion the whole time. Don't get your heads down. You still got to play 3 quarters of football. You have opportunities. Get out there and play.
Mitt Payne, for the 25th time on the season, splits the uprights for the PAT. Also has a field goal to his credit. And it is 24-0. Opportunity to test the makeup and mettle now of the Aggies as they'll get the ball back. But this is just Unga with some big gaps, and he doesn't need that much of a seam, Mike.
Well, BYU's offensive line, you can talk about those big gaps, Steve, and those separations right there. They get away from you. He's just going to come in, a great lead block by the fullback, and then Unga just powering right through those guys with more desire.
Harvey Unga on the sideline being congratulated for the 11-yard touchdown run.
Well, it's interesting, too, when you watch this BYU offensive line, Steve. Usually when you have a passing team, the offensive line is pretty good at pass block. If you have a running team, they're good at running, but they're typically not good at both. BYU so far this season has been very good both in the run block game as well as protecting the quarterback, which is evident with no sacks through 4 1/4 games.
Once again, Harris and Marsh find themselves in a familiar position, set to receive a kickoff after a BYU score. Another deep kick that drives Harris back into the end zone. This time he takes the knee, and they'll start at the 20-yard line. Unga on the sidelines as we look at our ARS scoring recap, brought to you by ARS Flood and Fire Cleanup. 1 play, 11 yards, 7 seconds off the game clock, and it was Unga with the 4th rushing touchdown of the season for him. That one went just 11 yards, and the last 4 or 5 was all Harvey Unga, and leg drive, about 240-plus pounds of him just running over defenders.
Well, got a new quarterback, Sean Setzer, coming in. Of course, Burrell with the 3 turnovers, the 2 fumbles, and now the interception on the tip ball, so he can go another direction here.
The drop back, Setzer under pressure, and he's brought down on the play by Brett Denny. Well, I guess after 2 fumbles by Burrell, they figure it's time to make a change, but you give up some of that mobility, and there you see the problem when the pocket is collapsed by that BYU push up front.
Well, Steve, the other problem I see for Utah State is these 2 quarterbacks are so distinctively different in what their powers are. You know, I mean, Burrell wants to get the outside. There's movement. There's the option game. Now you have Sean Setzer, who's a very good quarterback, but he's going to be in the pocket. So really, it's 2 different offensive calls that you have to make. And now the offensive line has to worry about a guy straight back instead of outside.
Turbin on the reception, makes the first 2 players miss, and is about 1 step away from getting into the end zone. He was gone if he wasn't brought down by Matt Putnam. You talked about these 2 quarterbacks, Mike, and the difference between them. Different styles, different abilities.
Well, it's the styles. You know, I mean, Setzer's a guy that has a good arm. He's been accurate. You see those numbers so far this year. He's done a nice job of starting the game, but they've kind of wanted more out of their offense. That's why they went to Burrell, trying to pressure to the outside, get the option game is. But again, Burrell's got to make good decisions, and that's one thing that, you know, he hasn't been able to hold on to the football, threw a pass a little high. Setzer's in there.
And Setzer from the shotgun. The fake to Turbin. Denny didn't buy it and brings him down at the ankles. Tried to stiff arm, it didn't work. Denny says, I'm having none of it.
No, we talked to Brent Guy, and they said they will run the option a little bit with Setzer. He's not a great runner, but he is big and strong, and he showed it right there of holding off the defensive line and Denny for a few yards to get to the outside.
And as the first quarter comes to an end here at Romney Stadium, it's been all BYU Cougars as Brent Guy's team has struggled. They've given up the touchdowns. A big offensive play by BYU came out and right from the get-go decided to air it out. It was Colley with the first touchdown and a couple of fumbles leading to other scores. It's 24-0 Cougars. Welcome back. Halftime here at Romney Stadium. 24-0 BYU as we set to start the third quarter. Moments ago, Alema Harrington caught up with Aggie coach Brent Guy and his halftime information.
Well, guys, talking to Coach Guy about how he felt about his team and the way they played, especially the second quarter of this game. I asked him if he was encouraged. They were moving the ball and at least stopping BYU and avoiding a field goal there. He said, you know, not encouraged. There's still 24 points on the board, and at the same time, we've got to move the ball and put it in the end zone. I asked him who would start at quarterback, whether it be Setzer or Burrell. He said we're still going to use both. Guys?
All right, Alema, thank you very much. Chris Ulinski will kick off as BYU will get the football to start the second half, and Brent Guy got to have his defense do a job. As you look deep to receive there is O'Neal Chambers. He stands as the deep man at his own 5-yard line, and just in front of him, Reed White at about the 10 to receive this Ulinski kick. And we're just about to get underway here in the second half. Second half kickoff brought to us by our friends at Goyen, and it is go time as this one will drive Chambers deep into the end zone. He'll bring it out, and he comes across the 15-yard line, across the 20, across the 25, out to the 30-yard line, and he's brought down at about the 33-yard line. And Koskin is the man who brings him down, and we look at the halftime quarterback numbers. Max Hall, 11 of 18. And Setzer with 79. Mike, you look at this, if you take away that 76-yarder, you know, again, we talk about how close this game could be, and yet it isn't. It's 24-0 for BYU.
Yeah, you look at those numbers, and I think the big play, obviously, for the touchdown, but also the turnovers. But look for Max Hall, Steve, to go down the field a little bit more. He's had a lot of success with the tight end, Dennis Pitt, and I think they'll throw the ball a little bit more in the second half.
On first down, they give to Unga, and that swarming Aggie defense stands him up. Davon Hall, one of the men in there, along with Hutton. They wrap him up. Pickup of maybe 1.5 yards on the play.
Yeah, and this is the motion I'm talking about, Steve, before halftime. To watch Devon Hall coming in here. This is a sack right here. Bam! And that's a big guy. You talked about Unga being 235 plus, and he smacked him right there. That's a great hit, and that's something that Utah State needs to continue with. They can't do it one play here, one play there. That's got to be play after play after play.
From the shotgun now for Hall.
Right here.
Changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 7 seconds on the play clock. And Hall gives to Vakapuna. Vakapuna tries the right side and near the 39-yard line where he's knocked off his feet. Man who got to him with Paulie Bowley. Bringing up third and short now for BYU. Well, the way they spot it, it's probably a good 3 or 4 yards on that play. And the Aggie defense being called on to try and get that offense back out on the field as Robert Anai, BYU Cougar offensive coordinator, stands on the sideline.
Well, and then Utah State's been pretty good. They've held him to 50%, and BYU comes in 68% on third down. So they've done a pretty good job. This is another big situation for him here.
Hall to the air, has plenty of time. Now he throws, and he's got a man wide open as the flag comes in late. Ashworth was the receiver on the play, but there's a flag sitting at about the 45-yard line. Official conference there near midfield.
Defense 53. Penalties decline. Result of the play. First down.
Jake Hutton, the linebacker, called for the holding, just trying to slow up that receiver coming out.
Well, right there was the offensive line. They'd really give Max Hall the opportunity to throw down the field, Steve. As we watch this, you're going to see him. He's going to step back. He's going to watch, look for a couple people. Now he's going to second, does a nice job, and then just gets outside. Devon Hall, a linebacker, trying to cover a wide receiver. Very, very difficult when the quarterback has that much time.
That it was Pitta hooked up with Hutton. That's where the hold was called on the play. And, of course, the penalty declined the result of the play. A first down for BYU. Throw across the field. Pass is complete to O'Neal Chambers. And Chambers knocked down at about the 11-yard line. Makes the reception. And then it was Bobby Wagner who knocked him down. Taylor also in coverage over there. And Nice reception on the part of Chambers.
Well, you can see Utah State's going to little man coverage. This is the backside right here. This is the strong arm of Max Hall. Get it there. Defensive back was in pretty good position. Just stumbled as he tried to break up on the football right there. And another first down for BYU.
Cougar offense moving the ball. 11-yard line, the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 from the I with Vakapuna, the up back, and Unga, the tailback. He gets the call, and Unga is ridden back after a gain of a couple on the play. Utah State again playing the run. That defense, bottom of the pile, Casey Davis among others.
Well, they've really done a nice job defending between the tackles. BYU's had some success getting to the outside out of the draw play, but when they've had that lead play, Utah State's done a nice job. That defensive lineman getting a little penetration, and the linebackers Hutton and Devon Hall have filled up very well.
That's Vakapuna, the motion man for BYU. And Hall wants to throw, and the ball on the turf, incomplete. Pitta was the intended receiver on the play, took a great shot just as the ball got there by Paul Igboli, and no opportunity for him to catch it, or he did have the opportunity, he just didn't make it.
Well, it's good anticipation right here of Max Hall throwing. He threw the ball a little bit outside, but again, that's a situation where he's so on cue with Pitta. Pitta's going to go up, just turn around, sit right in between the linebackers. He throws a little outside, and give credit to the defense of Utah State to put a nice smack on him.
And now 3rd and 10 facing BYU. Utah State trying to keep BYU from getting into the end zone. Hall stepping up. Hall throws, and a pass is caught at the 4-yard line. And it was Harvey Unga on the reception out of the backfield. We talked about it in the first half as Hutton was in coverage. We talked about isolating the back on a linebacker out of the backfield, and Unga on the tip drill to himself.
Well, you don't expect a 235-pound plus running back able to catch the ball like this, but he has been able to do it. Had a lot of catches last year, and he's good out of the backfield. But again, Utah State keeping everything in front of them, force them to a field goal. And again, at some point offensively, they're going to have to come up with some big plays.
Payne, who has missed one tonight, the first miss of the year for him, will now try out of the hold, and it's about a 22-yard field goal attempt. They call it a 22-yarder. It is up, and this time it's good. So BYU comes away with 3, but the Aggie defense has limited them at least and kept them out of the end zone as we start the second half. We'll return to Romney Stadium. Utah State will have the football when we come back. Field goal for BYU in their opening possession of the second half, and it extends their lead to 27-0 as we look at the scoring recap. Brought to us by ARS Flood and Fire Cleanup, helping people in Utah and Idaho put their homes, businesses, and lives back together. And it was that field goal, which was the first of the night, after the miss on the part of BYU's kicker, Mitch Payne. And now Utah State will have the football and bring it out of the end zone, trying to get something. Ball is on the turf, and BYU looks to have fallen on it. There's a scramble underneath of the pile, and the Cougars say they have the football. They'll sort things out on that pile, and if Utah State has given it up, as indeed they have, again, how could it start much worse for you, Mike? Your defense has held the Cougars to just 3. You had a chance offensively to get the football back, and now you give it up.
Well, again, here it is in the end zone. Again, I think just take it at this point, take it at the 20, let your offense roll right there. He makes a nice run up here, but you got to secure the football. You know when you're going to get hit. I mean, you got guys running full speed from 40 yards away. You're going to get hit. He's got to put the hand right here. He's got to get his fingertips over the top of that football. You can see it's underneath right there, not secure enough. Knocks out, and again, another huge play for BYU.
And at the 20-yard line, Max Hall and company with the short field. 4 turnovers tonight for Utah State. Hall has trouble with the snap. Well, he pushed it forward to Unga, and that looks like it might be considered like the Utah pass because it was thrown forward with 2 hands, albeit, to Harvey Unga. There was an attempt to throw it.
No, it's just a he fumble right here. He drops right here. He kind of tries to put him there, and it falls out. Unga didn't think he was going to get it because it was late. Hall didn't get it there, but fortunately for BYU, and that's how things go sometimes. I mean, every time the ball's been on the ground, when Utah State has put it there, BYU's come out. Utah State puts it on the ground. I mean, BYU does it, and they're able to come back with it.
Somebody's helmet popped off. Looks like a Cougar helmet, and it's Vakapuna who carried the football. You see his dome underneath there. Igboli was the man who wrapped him up.
Not sure he didn't have a helmet on underneath.
So it does bring up third down now for BYU. And 7 or 8 on the play. This is it one more time.
Pretty good hit there by Utah State. And here, the big down right here, Steve. Get him back in it again. And you're going to have free safety this time is going to be covering tight end.
The pass into the end zone, picked off by Utah State. It's going to come out. Murphy decides to bring it out. And he's got some running room on the outside. And Unga was the man who finally wrestles him down, but not before Keyshawn Murphy has given the Aggies great field position. So the defense has helped bail out that offense, or at least the special teams situation, after they put it on the turf on the return.
Well, that was outstanding right there. They put a little different defense right there. They ran a guy to the free safety. Looked like he was going to play man coverage, and then they're just playing 3 deep right there. He was able to go over there and pick the ball off, and it was just a bad read by Max Hall where he thought he had man-to-man coverage, thought nobody was going to be there. And here you can see he just falls off the deep third right there. Good play.
First down and 10 at the 40-yard line now for Utah State. Durbin, the ball carrier, nowhere to go. Wrestled down, Nixon, one of the first to get to him for BYU.
Well, and they came back with Burrell at the quarterback here to start the second half, Steve.
That alternating quarterback system of Utah State still looking for somebody. They get about 75% of the offensive package, the total package in with DeAndre Burrell. Haven't been able to give him everything yet, but they feel comfortable about what they have been able to give him. There was a loss of 1 on that play. Burrell with the roll. Tucks it. He's got some speed to the outside and bumped out of bounds. Denny in pursuit, and they knock him out of bounds.
Well, it's going to be a late hit on the sidelines. Look like it's going to be on Utah State at number 83.
That would be Jeremy Mitchell, backup tight end.
After the play was over, personal foul. Offense, number 83, hitting the player out of bounds. 15-yard penalty from the end of the last run, and it will be third down.
Well, Mike, you called it. They actually ran double tights on the play.
Well, you're going to see it right here, right at the bottom of the screen. Just pushes him right there at the end. And again, this situation where you got to be smart about what's going on, and frustrated or not, you know, he's looking like he's going to say, hey, coach, I was just blocking him. And again, you can't say Burrell was running the football, so he turned from a receiver into a blocker. I think it was just a little bit late.
3rd and 24 now, the situation facing Burrell. Line of scrimmage all the way back to his own 26-yard line. Got to get to midfield to get that first down. Burrell, feet moving. And he picks up a couple, but not anywhere near enough on 3rd down. Doman was the man who wrapped him up, brought him down for BYU, and the Aggies will have to punt the football away.
Well, one of the problems with changing quarterback, Steve, is you were in the game, you felt the rush, you knew what was going on, and all of a sudden you sit out, you go into halftime, you come back, you drop back, and all of a sudden things quicken for a little bit. And it's like, whoa, man, look, they're in my face right away, and now he's looking to run instead of throw the ball down the field. And on 3rd and 20, it's going to be hard at all, but you're certainly not going to run from the quarterback position in most cases.
Peter Caldwell with a punt, and Chambers back to receive it. High punt, driving Chambers back inside the 20. Feels it at the 19-yard line, still on his feet. Now somebody's got his ankle, and that's all it took. So they'll stand him up just long enough to bring him down. Joshua Taylor was the gunner on special teams that got to him first. It'll be Cougar football when we return to Romney Stadium. The Cougars with a 27-0 lead. Aggie faithful, not a whole bunch to cheer about right now. Their team is on the losing end of a 27-0 count, and BYU has the football 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line after the Caldwell punt. Welcome back, everybody. Steve Brown along with Mike Norseth and Alema Harrington here in Romney Stadium. 78th meeting between these two football teams, and right now the 7th-ranked Cougars firmly in control. Unga, the ball carrier, out to the 29-yard line. A reminder, our next college football broadcast will be October 25th as the Fresno State Bulldogs travel to Logan to take on the Aggies, and it's homecoming. The game gets underway at 1 o'clock right here on KJazz, your home for live local sports. That's October 25th. Be sure and join us then. Gain of 5 on the play with Unga carrying the ball. Now I formation backfield for BYU, and they'll send Unga in motion, leaving Vakapuna back there all alone. And Hall will look to the air. He's got a man out there. That's Colley, and he overthrows him. He had man coverage with Roy Hurst on the play and just overthrew him. One of the few times you'll see where Hall has not been on the mark, although he has had a couple of picks tonight, Mike.
Well, he has had a couple of picks. They've been on the mark. They've just been bad reads and thrown into the coverage, and you know, that time throws a little bit. You know, we talk about Utah State, Steve, and really how well they've played defensively tonight, and talking to the defense coordinator, Mark Johnson, you know, he kept stressing, you know, all I do is bring my lunch pail to work. All I ask my guys bring. I believe him. And really, when you watch these guys, you know what? These guys are working hard. The coaches, you know, scheme-wise, put them in the right place. They make them plays. They miss it a couple times, but credit to the defense right now of doing a pretty good job.
Hall throws complete into the game. Tyler Kozlowski with the reception at the 45-yard line. James Brindley bringing him down for Utah State. You know, you're right, to just expand on that and talking to Mark Johnson, he said, you know, he wanted to give them some different looks tonight to get some pressure. Haven't got a lot of pressure on Hall, but the defense has played well. Here's the close by Brindley after Kozlowski gets the ball. And actually, number 3 on the play, James Brindley, did a good job of not giving too much of a cushion. And those BYU receivers, as Colley proved in that first 76-yard touchdown pass, you give them any room at all after the catch, they can make some yards. On the ground, Wayne Latu, the ball carrier for BYU, as Bronco Mendenhall goes to the bench a little bit. Bobby Wagner on the stop for the Aggies.
On the tackle, Bobby Wagner. I think a lot of it, Steve, is being in the right place, the right time, and really as a coach, what you want to do is you want to put your guys in a winning situation, and whether it's calling the right defense, a blitz, a coverage, something like that. You just want to say, you know what, I'm going to teach you the fundamentals. This is on this particular play. This is what you're responsible for, and for the most part, I think they've done a nice job of being in the right place, right time. They haven't always come up with the tackle, the hit, the interception, or anything like that. But again, their coaches are giving them a chance to win. Now it's up to the players.
Hall throws, and it's complete. Colley, the receiver, and Colley looks to have a first down before Jake Hutton brings him to the turf. You know, to expand more on Mark Johnson, he said BYU is really simple offensively. He said they just execute extremely well, and they're fun to watch, unless of course you happen to be the defensive coordinator on the other side of the field, in which case there's not a whole bunch of fun.
Well, they're in the shotgun a lot, and you see that these people run, most of the guys in the shotgun are running the spread option and out, and they certainly don't run anything. When we talked to Robert and I, the offensive coordinator, he said, well, the one thing we can't do with Max Hall is run the option, but certainly with all the weapons and the people they have to throw to like that, it really gives them some chances.
And Hall, you saw again, not afraid to throw into coverage. I mean, he'll force that football in. Taylor and Wagner over there denying Andrew George the reception.
Well, just a little play action right here, and this is the quarterback sometimes needs to take the guy in the flat. You see the guy, number 40 right there, he's the guy that's going to control the flat right there, so it was wide open, and sometimes as the quarterback you get that confidence, you want to throw the ball down the field, down the field, and sometimes you just got to take the short one.
Well, you heard his coach talk about him earlier, Max Hall being the he. He's not afraid to try and make a play as Vakapuna has the ball, and now Utah State falls on football. Let's see if they kept it or if it came back to BYU. But Vakapuna put it down on the turf for a moment, and he comes out of it without the helmet and without the football as well. So the Aggies creating yet another turnover. Hurst was the man at the bottom, and number 2 holds the football aloft, and the Aggie offense has possession again.
Well, Vakapuna is trying to say that he had the ball on the ground or whatever, but you know, first thing for Vakapuna, he's got to get a chin strap that's going to hold on there. And what happens here is Max Hall gets to the outside. See, this is smart. He has him open right there. Let him run with it. He puts his head down. Bam! Big hit right there. Ripped the ball out. Ball comes out. It's on the ground. Looks like Vakapuna's trying to get it right there, but it's definitely out. Now he's running with the football, and somebody else grabs away from him. So. The ball's definitely out right here, and I think Vakapuna picks up, so he's down right there by contact, and then he gets out trying to run it. When he does, he loses it again right there. But
and now they've ruled it's BYU football because the offensive unit for the Cougars back on the field, so they must have ruled that Vakapuna came up with the possession.
Well, it looked like he did have it there on the ground, Steve, and once he grabbed it, he was down by contact because people were on top of him, and he got up, and then that's when he lost the football again. But he's got to do something about his chin strap, and He's going to get hurt out there.
And now a whistle from the officials. The down and distance.
Previous play is under review.
All right, they're going to look at it again.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a great shot. Our guys in the truck here just showed it right here. The ball comes out. It's definitely a fumble, but it's going to fall just on the backside of the Utah State player. It's a good angle right here. Ball comes out. And now it's just going to fall all the way around, and Vakapuna's going to grab it. Now, right there, he's got possession. He's touched. It's his ball. And he definitely has the football because Stevie comes out of the pile with it right here.
Yeah, you see him. It looks like a rugby scrum. And my guess is he played a little rugby in his career, but that's exactly what it looks like. Come out of that scrum with the ball. And here he comes, just out of the frame.
Those are some pretty good hits right there.
So the officials reviewing the angles that we have.
Number 40, Bobby Wagner, put a pretty good pop on him right here. You can see, bam, gets him both sides. Brindley coming from the inside. Wagner from the outside.
Jim Harvey is our replay official in the booth. Our crew tonight, Bill Athan is the referee. Mike Ross, the umpire. Back judge Jim Settle. Bob Bain is the linesman. Gary McNana is the line judge. Field judge Craig Faulkner. Kim Nelson, the side judge. And Jim Harvey.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. Third down, BYU.
Well, they looked at the replay and had all the angles that you had the benefit of and said it's BYU football.
No, that was a good call, too. You know, it might have helped the fans out a little bit to say that, you know, it was definitely a fumble. As I think the fans thought, well, they didn't fumble it. It was definitely a fumble, but he was able to get the ball back and was down by contact.
3rd and 5 is what the down marker shows. Ball at the 35-yard line.
It's Dennis Pitter right here. This is what they like to do.
Now to bring him in motion and set him to the near side. Swing pass out of the backfield, complete to Unga. And in coverage was Bobby Wagner on the near side.
What they like to do there, Steve, is they'll bring Pitt in motion. And one of the reasons why they split him out and put him in motion is that way he's not going to get held up by the linebackers at the line of scrimmage. And what he was doing there, he was just running a little option route. He goes up, gets to the first down line, turns around, and the back comes to the backfield. And Max Hall, the quarterback, is just reading the flat. It's his zone coverage. He reads the flat. If he's got the hook, he throws it to Pitta. If not, he throws it to the side.
On 4th and 2, the Cougars will go for it out of the stacked eye. Unga with Vakapuna in front of him. Vakapuna gave him a great little kick-out block and allowed him to get the first down. Igboli wraps him up. Not before he'll move the box again.
Well, that's one of the things. Vakapuna's had a little hard time holding on to the football as well as his helmet, but he has been very successful this year at being the lead back. You're going to see him kick out right here. He gets a little pinch, and then the kick out, a little seam for Unga for the first down.
And that's all it took. Ball at the 28-yard line now for BYU. Vakapuna and Unga flanking their quarterback Hall now as Utah State shows the blitz. Will they back out of it?
Well, this one I like to run it a little bit.
And here they come. Unga goes around the right side. Unga steps inside a block and spins over 2 other Aggies and down to the 15-yard line before Igboli makes the tackle and the stop.
Well, this is one of the things. You look at the offensive line for Utah State. They've started the same 5 guys for now their 5th game in a row. And so they understand what's going on in the blocking scheme. This guard's going to pull out to get over to this side in front. But this is really Max Hall calling this. He saw they were coming from the inside. The strong side guard pulls out in front and gets to the outside. So Max Hall reads the blitz inside. He gets the right call, pinches to the blocks to the inside, and gets to the outside with the running back. And
Igboli went to the sidelines after that play. You saw him get spun in his neck as he made the tackle. Tweak that neck a little. Unga net at the line of scrimmage, actually about a yard behind the line of scrimmage, and nothing as Ben Calderwood was the man who stood him up. That's a collision.
Well, it was a collision, and Ben Calderwood did a good job of getting through the line of scrimmage there. You can see the penetration right to the right side. He just beats his tackle to the upfield, gets right out in front of him, puts his helmet right in his shoulders.
At 267, Calderwood's got some bulk to meet bulk as he ran into Unga at about 240. 500 pounds of collision. 17-yard line, the line of scrimmage, and Hall wants to throw. Got all kinds of time and throws, and a reception behind the receiver. The ball was thrown behind the receiver, and Colley still managed to make the catch in front of Darrell Fields. Boy, that's a set of hands.
Well, it really was. Austin Colley uncharacteristically dropped a couple early in the first half, but right there, I think Max Hall, as you look at him, Steve, he has some guys open in the flat early, and he wants the big plays, looking downfield. He had somebody flat, now he comes back, throws a little bit to the outside shoulder. Colley with a nice catch in the hands.
Hall had all kinds of room himself if he wanted to pull it down, but too valuable a commodity to risk, and he just waited long enough for somebody to create some separation, and he found Colley on the reception. Still 3rd and 7. Hall to the end zone, wide open receiver, Colley, touchdown. Austin Colley getting away from the defender, reaching and scoring the touchdown. Another great catch by Austin Colley as the ball sailed a little bit on Hall. But if it's anywhere in the area, Colley has a great chance to catch it. It's his 7th touchdown of the season and the 2nd one tonight.
Well, you're going to see this right here. Max Hall is going to look to the left side, then come back a little bit late, throws it just to the outside. And then what happens, he just throws it maybe just a little high, but pretty good throw, throws it to the outside.
The PAT is good, and 34-0's now the count as Austin Colley takes a seat on the bench, earned himself a drink of water. 2nd touchdown of the night. Max Hall looks, the receiver to the outside, and Colley with the catch high above his head. Hall and Austin Colley on the sideline. 34-0 is the count as those two have just hooked up. As we take a look at the scoring recap, brought to us by ARS Flood and Fire Cleanup. 13 plays, 76 yards, 6:23 off the clock, and the 12-yard reception by Colley for the 17th touchdown of the year by Max Hall. And that kick will go deep into the end zone. John Murphy will take the knee, and Utah State will start at their own 20-yard line with the offense. Aggies have moved the ball tonight, Mike, and they've held on to the ball in terms of time, but not held on to it literally. They've fumbled the football. They've given it up as DeAndre Burrell will come out to try and get something on the board for Utah State. And a minute 26 away from BYU going another scoreless quarter, or another quarter unscored upon. And you look at the numbers for Burrell, 4 of 6. The INT, but he's put it on the turf a couple of times as well, and those numbers don't show on that graphic. So 1st and 10. Turbin is in the backfield. Now he spreads out, and it's an empty backfield for Burrell, who calls his own number. Going to run to the outside. Burrell does give him a block, and a pickup of 9 on the play for the quarterback, DeAndre Burrell. Kellen Fowler on the tackle for BYU.
Well, this is where Burrell is really successful as a quarterback, Steve, is getting to the outside, whether it be with some boots, the options, or just sprinting out like he did that time. But what Utah State has to do is be able to follow it up with some more plays. And they've had some success, like you've talked about. They fumbled it. They turned the ball over through the air with the interception. But they've also they get a couple first downs. It's almost like they tire out a little bit and don't do the little things that they need to continue their drives.
And Burrell on the option to the near side, throws to Turbin. Turbin with nothing but a sea of white shirts in front of him. Coach Brent Guy at Utah State said he thought that the bye week had helped Burrell with his reads especially, and that he's staying in the pocket better, and that he's scrambling now to throw instead of not to run. And that's something that is awful tough for a quarterback who has that kind of foot speed to learn when to pull it down and run, and when to stay and hope for something and trust your receivers to get open.
Well, what you have to do is you just have to have a feel for the passing game, Steve. And if the idea is when you have receivers downfield, you got to think pass first. When you're in the option game, of course, you can just tuck it and run. But I think that's something that you learn. And again, you come in here, you play a little bit, you sit out, you play a little, you sit out. It's very difficult to get in the rhythm of feeling the pressure and knowing when to do what.
Throwing to Turbin on the outside is Burrell, and Turbin in the open field now making another 5 or 6 yards out of it. It was a throw that was a long throw, but not much downfield. And then Turbin turning it into something as the third quarter has come to an end. And we'll be back with the final 15 minutes from Romney Stadium. 78th meeting of the Utah State Aggies and the BYU Cougars. And at the end of 3, it's BYU with a lead of 34-0. On on this Friday night has been had by BYU so far as we welcome you back to the start of the fourth quarter. Utah State with a 3rd and 4. DeAndre Burrell has got some room, and he has a first down and now gets to the outside and steps out of bounds without taking a hit. And if your quarterback's going to run, that's what you'd like to see. Brandon Howard was the man who had the angle on him, but Burrell showing that foot speed, Mike.
Well, he hasn't. That time he did a good job, Steve, with stepping up in the pocket. He was looking for somebody downfield, saw they had an opening to the outside, and again, get the first down as quickly as possible. Here he is right here. You can see the nice thing, look at this, he's looking, now all of a sudden he takes off, he's still looking, and he says, I can get the first down, get to the outside, move the chains. Now it's 2 first downs in a row on this drive. Again, Steve, they need to continue it and get some points.
Well, the Aggies have been able to get some first downs. They just haven't been able to hang on to the football. Turbin around the right side. Turbin has another first down for Utah State. Fowler was the man who got to him, but before Fowler did, the guy who had the first shot at him was Matt Ayu, who went high on the tackle as we look closer at running back Robert Turbin in focus.
Yes, this 2-year letter guy, and it really kind of broke out last game against Idaho with running over 100 yards, came into the game with 189, and really what I've seen from him tonight, they've got the ball to him when the running game handed off to him, but also on the quick little screens, and he looks very explosive back there.
Saw some of that track and field speed a moment ago. BYU going to take a timeout because they were trying to get a defensive player off the field. It was Brandon Bradley was sprinting to the sidelines and trying to get off the field before the snap, and the Cougars wisely took a timeout to try and regroup. So we'll step aside as timeout is taken on the field. Just underway, fourth quarter. We'll return to Romney Stadium right after this. Aggie fans still cheering their team on. Some have been here an awful long time. It was a beautiful day in the Cache Valley today. You know, these guys still rooting their team on with 14:05 remaining in this football game, and the Aggies trying to score on the Cougars, who have now 11 quarters of being unscored on. DeAndre Burrell throws it long. Didn't have anybody out there. Nelson was on the outside, but had broken the route off. Looked like a miscommunication. Kind of a broken play. Burrell just hoping that the receiver was on the same page and broke it up the field, and he didn't as we look at the scoring totals and the total yards statistics after 3 quarters of play. And look at that time of possession, how things have evened up, Mike. Well, it's one-sided in favor of Utah State early.
Well, BYU's had a couple drives here in the second half that have taken up 6 to 7 minutes and obviously put the 10 points up. But that was a good job by Burrell getting to the outside, but he just needs to slow down a little bit once he gets out there, and hopefully some receivers can come open for him.
Turbin has the football. Cuts it up the field. Turbin shakes a tackle, and Turbin may go. Turbin at the 5. Turbin dives into the end zone, and there goes the BYU shutout. And that will be some kind of a moral victory, at least for Utah State, as they have scored a touchdown on this BYU defense, as Robert Turbin made that happen by himself after he got into the center of the field.
Well, see, we were just talking about how impressed we have been with him running the football, catching out of the backfield. This is just a little play where he reads to the outside, then makes a nice great cutback to the inside, shakes off a tackle, spins, and then just also shows a burst of speed. So, again, last game over 100 yards rushing, and tonight he's really been the offensive star for Utah State.
Brandon Howard was the last man who had a shot at him, and Turbin just outlegged him to the end zone, as the PAT has given the faithful here in Romney Stadium something to cheer about. 34-7 is now the count as Turbin gets it done with his legs.
Well, again, offensive line has done a pretty good job. It gets him to the secondary right there, runs through the linebackers, and then right through a defensive back, spins to the outside. But you talk about Bronco Mendenhall and the 2 shutouts they've had, and the shutout doesn't mean too much. I can tell you right now that it means a lot for both teams. One for BYU to give up these points, but Utah State right now, Steve, 34-7, saying, "Guy, what if? We've moved the ball pretty well. We've done a pretty good job defensively, keeping things in front of them. Less the first drive there that they had the long pass to Austin Collie, but again, other than the turnovers, have done pretty well."
ARS scoring recap: 7 plays, 80 yards, and Turbin 40 yards on the ground for the touchdown. You talked about Bronco Mendenhall. He said that Utah State has enough talent to get big plays, and that was a big play. Last time the Aggies beat the Cougars was October 30th, and we'll show you that because that's a long time ago, of 1993. And while they're probably not going to win tonight, at least they've gotten into the end zone, which is something UCLA and Wyoming could not do. And now here comes the kick. And that's going to be taken by O'Neal Chambers. Chambers to the near side. Let's go back to the last time the Aggies beat the Cougars, October 30th of '93, and it was a shootout. The Aggies got on the board early. Quarterback Anthony Calvillo finding Mike Lee, and the Aggies lead, but BYU came storming back. John Walsh hooking up with Tyler Anderson, and BYU takes a late lead, but with time running down in this one, Calvillo would call his own number, and the late touchdown gives the Aggies the win in a shootout, 58-56. 114 points on the board in that one. Not going to happen tonight. But BYU has 34, and they hold the lead at 34-7. Line of scrimmage, the 31-yard line, 1st and 10. And Hall will give to the back, and that is number 45, Harvey Unga, brought down by Ben Calderwood. So the first offense still in there for Bronco Mendenhall's team, with that lead cut to 34-7 after the Turbin 40-yard run a moment ago.
Well, again, this defensive linebacker committee has done a nice job for Utah State, Steve, and again, they haven't made all the plays, but doing a pretty good job of controlling this line of scrimmage. I mean, BYU's about 350 up front, 6'5", all the way across, and they've done a nice job of getting through some gaps and getting a little penetration in this run game.
Colley is the motion man and gets the swing pass, and Colley has some running room as a flag flies in from the back judge, all the way from his position at about the 40-yard line. That's pretty good arm on him because he threw it to the opposing 35.
Yeah, and that's going to be a little holding or a little chop block on BYU.
Holding offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, 2nd down.
Colley's big gain negated, and they'll push them back.
Now, it's one thing that we've seen with Utah State. We did the game up here, Utah State, and I really felt like it was one of the first times that I saw Brent Guy coach team kind of just sit back and just take everything that Utah gave. And what I see tonight is that, again, they've made the mistakes, but they have played and played and played this evening.
And, of course, the success almost 2 weeks ago, because they had the bye week against Idaho, certainly helps you to do that. 2nd and 18 from the 23-yard line for the Cougars. Unga will now flex to the near side, and Hall will look. The pump fake, and he wants to go to Unga down the sideline. Ball is underthrown, and Unga almost makes the circus catch. Igboli was in coverage, but Unga coming back and looking at the football, almost popped it up and was able to make the reception on the rebound. The flag is on the play, however.
Well, I like what the BYU does right here. They run the running back out in motion, get to the outside, runs the flat, gets a little pump fake right there, but Igboli does a nice job of just running with him and puts his hands up, just looks like at the right time.
And this one's coming back.
Offense. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Well, that's when you don't see a lot, when a receiver comes back for the football the way Unga did.
I don't think it was on Unga, Steve. I think it was something underneath where they had got him out, maybe try to chip a little bit.
Because Unga looked like he had an opportunity for that football. So the pass interference penalty declined in the 3rd and 18, Mike.
Now, this is where a lot of teams like to run the little draw right here, just a little safe play. Don't do anything that's going to cause you to maybe throw a bad interception.
My money says they don't. Just a guess, no BYU's offense. Hall looks to throw and had a man incomplete, intended for Reed White. Ball a little bit underthrown, and White couldn't go down and make the reception, and now BYU forced to punt. So the Aggies, who scored a touchdown on their last possession, the defense has forced a punt, and they're going to get the football back again.
Yeah, as I said before, I give Utah State a lot of credit for fighting adversity, and again, they've made the mistakes, but they've really continued to play. They've continued to battle on defense. They had a big series last time getting in the end zone, and we'll see what they can do when they get the ball back here.
You also got to take your hat off to BYU, though, and you see why they're 7th ranked in the country. They're very good on both sides of the ball. And right now, they'll punt it away. Murphy is deep to receive at his own 38-yard line. Santiago's punt, a wobbly one, fair caught. Well, I thought he called for a fair catch. He did, and then he took off running. What a surprise there. You think he got away with one, Mike?
Well, he definitely fair caught it, and the official just blew it dead. So when he started to run, instead of calling anything, but you can see right here, all of a sudden he looks at it, he goes, "Yep, fair catch." And then he catches it, and they go, "Well, there's nobody around here. Oh, that's right. I called a fair catch."
So no penalty on the play, and the Aggies will have the football from their own 37-yard line. They trail 34-7, a little over 12 minutes remaining in this football game. Burrell back at quarterback. Gone with the 2-quarterback system so far tonight. Burrell started the game. Setzer came in relief, and now Burrell calls his own number and picks up a couple of hard-fought yards.
Well, it looked like they had an opportunity for a big play right there. They spread everybody out. They went empty. They had 5 receivers out to the outside, and just the 4-down lineman for BYU, but the BYU defensive lineman did a better job. They got some penetration. They said, "Hey, he's coming up the middle of the field. We'll squeeze it a little bit, only for a 2-yard gain."
And from the shotgun, Burrell got the pitch out to Turbin, who has a touchdown tonight, and Turbin rolled out of bounds. Fowler was the man who got to him for the Cougars.
It looks like Nixon that's down the linebacker for BYU on the ground.
BYU medical staff coming out to attend to him. That would obviously be a costly loss for David Nixon.
Steve, you know, one of the things we talk about is the improvement that all the players make as the season goes on, and I think Burrell being able to play has really improved his game a little bit from when we saw him earlier.
They'll take a timeout on the field to attend to David Nixon, and we'll return right after this. David Nixon taken off the field. There was a problem, it looked like, with his right leg, and I think we've got to look at him, Michael, what happened. He got rolled up on by one of the Aggies, and Bronco Mendenhall a little bit concerned at the right portion of your screen right there. And it was Otis Nelson, I believe, that was coming back, and so you got to hope that David Nixon is all right. Would be a big loss for BYU. Meantime, it brings up 3rd and 2 for the Aggies.
45 Turbin on this one.
And to give up the middle, it's Marquise Butler. And Butler with a first down, apparently, for Utah State. So they'll move the chains. And Utah State with a lot of real estate to cover, and only 11:28, but they are moving the football, and Brent Guy's football team has finally gotten on the board, something that the previous 2 teams could not do against BYU.
Well, you also got to look at the fact, Steve, that this is the 3rd-ranked team that they've played the last 4 games, and, you know, they're really being competitive. They've had the mistakes here, but I think the other thing is you're a Utah State fan, and Coach Guys, one, the way that they're finishing this game is very positive, but 2, they're 1-0 in their conference, and they got some tough games, a couple more ranked teams, and Boise State, Fresno State coming up.
Roughing the passer. Defense. 15 yards added to the Indian run. First down.
Well, Nelson had the first down catch. Fowler stopped him, but somebody hit the quarterback late, and you tack on another 15 yards. So Utah State moving the football with the help of the Cougars. But a well-thrown pass, and Nelson with the reception. And then you tack on the personal foul, and it puts the ball inside the 20.
So you can see again, Steve, outside the pocket, this is where Burrell really, look at the way he twists his shoulders around to get the ball down the field and right at his target. And that's one thing that a lot of quarterbacks won't do when they get to the outside. They try to throw across their body, and Burrell has been very impressive, especially going to the weak side there.
Burrell inside the 20 to the 18-yard line as we go to Alema Harrington on the sidelines. Alema?
Guys, good news for BYU fans. David Nixon coming up to the sideline. They went through all the routine that they do to check the knee, and it turns out it's just a bruised shin, and so he will sit out for now. He may come back in, but that's good news. It's not the knee, a bruised shin.
That is good news for BYU because Nixon, obviously an integral part of that defensive unit, has a couple of interceptions for touchdown, and he's a guy you can't afford to lose for any length of time.
Well, that's really kind of everybody, Steve. You got your starters, you got some guys, and certainly both these teams have some capable backups. But anytime you're losing a guy now, instead of going 1-2 when someone gets hurt, you go 2-3, and that's a drop-off that most teams can't stand.
Burrell alone in that backfield now, looks to throw. Pump fake, pulls it down, buying some time. The man open, finds him at the 5-yard line, and the pass is complete to the outside, and that was Mondi Gwacham with the catch, and Tafuna with the tackle. But Burrell showing some maturity there. Could have tucked it and ran, kept his head downfield, Mike, and found the open receiver.
Well, he's looking. He tucked and looked to run right there, and then it got closed up on him, and then he did the smart thing of look downfield again and again. When you buy that much time right there, you're going to find some people open. He makes a nice throw, and again, very impressive the way this kid is able to throw the ball when he's running.
First and goal from the 5-yard line.
Now it's Turbin time.
The fake to him. The roll, the throw to the end zone. And the Aggies are in again. Touchdown, Utah State. And the Aggies have broken the goal line twice against the BYU Cougars. Well, you've got to be impressed with the way that drive went if you're Utah State. And again, you wonder, couldn't you have started this a little bit sooner?
Well, they started earlier, Steve. They just had a problem with holding on to the football right here. Burrell gets to the outside. He's looking pass all the way, and he makes a nice throw to the outside defender. Tries to get his hands up there, but the receiver able to make a catch. And again, this is a great throw by Burrell on the run, thrown to the back of the end zone.
And there's the catch, and they're going to take a look at it. The play will be under review. I'm sure that's what we're going to find out. Did the feet get down in the end zone?
Located in 1986 North End and North Logan, Westlaw Tires is the West's largest independent tire dealer. Westlaw Tires, your tire store.
Well, here it is right here. He's got the ball right there. Looks like his left foot comes down. As long as he's got control, his left foot looked like it was down. Here it is right here. His catch, first foot that taps down, it's in the blue. Left foot first. The right foot looked like it stepped on the white, but left foot was down first, and the blue looks like a touchdown to me.
Well, they're taking a look at it. Here's
a great look here. First foot in, touchdown.
Well, they called it good. And so there is the celebration on the sideline. Touchdown is complete. Terran Lloyd, the tight end. And now the PAT attempt coming.
And I have to say the replay official, Jim Harvey's done a nice job on the replays of seeing it real quick and just saying, looks the same as what you called on the field, let's move.
Caldwell's kick is up and good, and you're right, Mike. Sometimes that replay takes forever. And Jim Harvey has done a nice job of making the decision and confirming it down to the field. So another 7 points for the Aggies. Our ARS scoring recap. 7 plays, 63 yards. Lloyd with that touchdown catch of 5 yards, 2 minutes and 50 seconds taken off the game clock. And now it's a little different football game. 34-14. And, you know, Romney Stadium was a tough place to play over the course of the years. It hasn't been so lately. The Spectrum, obviously a great home field, and Coach Brent Guy would like to transfer that same home field advantage to this facility.
Well, we've got to create a home field advantage like we have in the Spectrum, I think, and that's with big crowds and, you know, have an exciting football game and be loud and you know, be able to intimidate opponents. And I think, you know, with this new building in the end zone, it's changed the dynamics of our stadium and the sound in there. We just need to make sure that we're doing enough to keep them excited and in the game.
And those 2 touchdowns here in this quarter coming right in front of that new Lob Athletics facility where people are lining the railings, and they like what they've seen immediately underneath them. And the timeout has been taken on the field. So, Mike, you know, you look at that facility from here, and we were here when it was dedicated. It is something that you can recruit to. Besides, it's not a bad seat right now. You get a good look at it on camera. All those people have just seen 2 touchdowns in that end zone right underneath them.
Well, it's great. I think Brent Guy said the right thing. Is we've got to give them something. And what you give them is you give them some victories. And you give them play like this. It's determined. It's no quit. It's guys coming after the number 17 in the country. But as a recruit, when you come to a facility and you come into the stadium, it's beautiful. The mountains in the background. It's a nice little setting. But this end zone facility they just put in just kind of completes it for it up here. I mean, you come in, you say, you know what, this is a great opportunity. There's money behind the program. I want to be a part of this in this conference that they're in, and games like this on TV certainly are going to help Utah State in their recruiting.
Hands team out there for BYU expecting the onside kick, and Aggies don't disappoint. The ball is available, and Utah State has it. Utah State recovers the football on the onside kick. And there's some emotion now on that side of the field. Officials kind of umpiling things, but it sure looked like they had it.
They've got a penalty. I think they might say that somebody touched it early, but it looked like, I'm sure we'll see in the replay, it looked like the ball went 10 yards and then came back to where Utah State got it, but it looked like it definitely passed the 40-yard line.
And I think the officials talk it over. They'll probably pick that flag up because you're right, Mike. It did go the 10 yards and then did come back on a rebound.
You're going to see it right here. So all it has to do is get to the 40-yard line, and it's a really good kick. It just kind of stalls a little bit. It's like, wait, nobody for BYU is going after it. They're trying to block first. Ball gets past the 40-yard line, hits a BYU player, and then comes back for Utah State. So I think that's going to be a good play for Utah State and something that should stay. Again, the ball just sets up there, and I think there's Utah State touched it. Now it looked like he did touch it first, but as long as it's 10 yards, it's all right if he does touch it first. Here it is again.
That will be the key, is whether or not it went 10 yards before the reach out. Well,
I think that's just an outstanding play. It looks like the ball is beyond the 40-yard line. He takes it away from the Utah player.
Before the ball traveled 10 yards. The penalty is 5 yards and re-kick.
Illegal block.
And we didn't get a number from
we saw it there on the right, and I don't understand. You look at that and say, well, who's blocking who? Because the BYU guy was coming, and I'll tell you where it is. It's going to happen right over here. Now you can see the BYU guy's going in it. The guy's just trying to run through it to get to the ball. So I don't know.
Well, they'll go to kick it again. Brent Guy got the explanation over on the sideline. Didn't look happy about it. In fact, he's still talking to the official.
It's an illegal block. I mean, you're running down there, and somebody's coming at you to put their...
Timeout.
The Utah State player put his shoulder into him to kind of, either go through him or block him, whatever you have it, but he's protecting himself there. And I think Brent Guy's asking the same question I am is, what are you talking about? You got two guys running into. Do you say somebody has to hit somebody first?
Well, apparently he's going to back up the Aggies, and Brent Guy is still demonstrating.
He's doing the same thing I am. Like, well, what's the guy supposed to do? Okay, wait, you're on offense. You got to block me first. I'm not going to run in there and hit you.
Had a phone call upstairs and discussion on the field, but the call has been made.
Well, Brent Guy's saying, hey, he's coming across the 40-yard line. He's coming after me. There's got to be some contact, and you're going to see it up on the right-hand side. It's this player right here who's going to jump across the 40-yard line. He's going to go try to block. There, he's blocking. They're both knocking into each other. It's a football play. They're playing football. They're hitting each other. And it's an outstanding play by the Utah State guy to reach in there and take the ball away from the BYU player, knock it back. And, to me, that's a Utah State football right there.
And Brent Guy is still pleading his case at about the 37, 38-yard line.
Yeah, look at the look on his face. Huh?
Well, that's our referee, Bill Lathan, and he's going to come and explain things, we hope.
The call on the field stands. 5-yard penalty, re-kick by Utah State.
Now that's one call that I'm not gonna go with. You got two guys that are running at each other. One guy trying to block, one time trying to get through there, and I think BYU is very, very fortunate to have this ball re-kicked right here.
Well, the good news for Utah State is that there's not the option for BYU to just take the penalty and have possession of the football, so they get to do it again.
Yeah, the problem here is you're on the 25-yard line. You don't get it here, and it's a real short field if they don't kick it too far.
That goes up in the air again. It's up for grabs, and it's on the turf. And who's falling on the bottom of it at the end of that pile?
Boy, Utah State had a great opportunity. What a great job of the kicker right there, getting the ball up in the air and giving them a chance to run down. Looks like BYU comes out with it. Harvey Unga.
Indication is the Cougars have it, at least from the white shirts. And judging by the reaction from Utah State, I think that's the way it's going to be. So BYU will have the football in great field position.
And a great kick right here. Look at the way this ball gets up there. It gets so high, and all of a sudden you get down. BYU's getting on their back, on their heels. And then just a nice job by Utah State getting that ball in play a little bit, and then Harvey Unga does a good job of getting in there and coming away with that football. And he comes in late. There's Harvey Unga down here. He comes in real late and comes out with the ball.
So the Cougars with the football after all that at the 45-yard line of Utah State. Hall still in there, slings to Colley on the outside, and the tackle is made. Utah State's Chris Randall was the man who came up and made the stop.
Well, if you're Utah State, you really have to continue to play with the motion they've had in this last quarter, Steve. They've done a great job defensively, offensively, woken up, scored 2 touchdowns. Looked like they were going to have the opportunity to get the ball. Now it's like, okay, settle down. We've played really well. Let's get back at it now.
Cougar first unit still in there. Unga gets the carry, and he is wrapped up and brought down. That was Nathan Royster, who slings into the turf. Close to a first down. Let's see what they put this football. It'll be about a yard short. So
really like this call by Max Hall. Get him at the line of scrimmage. Just going to hand it.
And Hall calls his own number and just really rides the tail end of that offensive line.
I really like that.
How flags go.
Well, that's the fighting in between, the frustration and everything. But I really like that call, 3rd and short, 4th and short. Don't give the defense a chance to settle. Get your guys, have a play call with your quarterback sneak or hand it off on a little slant play and just get after it.
No time for personnel changes on the part of that defensive unit. And we'll find out what the call is.
The play resulted in a first down. After the ball was dead, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 15, offense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, he does have some Jim McMahon in him when your quarterback is nailed for unnecessary roughness, and it is against Max Hall.
Again, that's a situation where they've been frustrated a little bit. They haven't been able to score as many points as they have. They come in averaging 43. Utah State's giving up 42. You think they're going to score 60, and Utah State's done a nice job of holding back a little bit. So
I'd love to know when the last Cougar quarterback flag for unnecessary roughness was. As Unga is the ball carrier, and Unga just puts his shoulder into the defender. Well, that's called giving a lick, as Caleb Taylor now well knows. He was the guy that took the shoulder from the running back.
Well, we watched that play. It's been very physical out there, and Vakapuna, the leading there, he loses his helmet again, and again, we kind of joked about it and joked that he had a helmet underneath the helmet, but really this is something that they need to get that figured out, because that's not good for somebody to run around and hit the way he's hitting people with a helmet that's not sticking on.
Ball will look throw. Outside to Colley. Did he come down in bounds? No. The official says it's incomplete. In coverage was Chris Randall for Utah State.
Well, this is one of the first times I've seen, you talk about Max Hall, and I don't mind in the feistiness, and you get in the pile, you don't know what they're squeezing or twisting or anything like that, but one thing that's happened so far, Steve, is this has been one of the first times he's been out of rhythm a little bit, and he's pressing a little bit, throwing the ball, and even the touchdown he threw to Austin Colley in the end zone a little bit high, that one, again, had a wide-open receiver, and as for as efficient he is in throwing the ball at the right place, he's a little fluttered out there, I think.
He's got 3rd and 6 now from the 45-yard line of Utah State. Steps, throws, complete to Colley. First down and more. Colley inside the 35-yard line. Darrell Fields making a stop, but it is a first down for BYU, and they'll move the chains again.
Well, that's a big play for BYU. They're ahead right here. But, Steve, look at the protection he has. He has nobody in front of him, and all of a sudden just a little curl wrap by Colley. Colley's able to catch it. Linebacker Ben Calder, or Jake Hutton, is not able to get out there quick enough, and he can't get any squeeze by the cornerback because he's worried about the deep threat.
Aggies with a blitz. Here they come, and Hall still got plenty of time. Hall on the run, steps out of bounds. Got a little help on his leg as well. Interesting in the scheme for BYU that it is the backs and the line who are solely responsible for blitz pickup. They use the running backs and they use the offensive line for blitz pickup, and that's it. Utah State brought the extra pressure, and BYU able to not only give Hall room, but an opportunity to tuck it and run after he didn't have anything downfield.
Well, the offensive line coach, Mark Weber, obviously has done a fantastic job this year. They haven't given up a sack. They've given him opportunity to throw, but as you said, the backs, and usually they're back there with two backs, they have an opportunity to pick up blitzes as well, and they've been schooled very well.
Hall sets and throws another completion inside the 25-yard line. Colley was the receiver. Fields was in coverage.
See, one of the problems you have defending this offense, Steve, is when they spread you out as much as they do, even if they have the two backs back there, they have such wide splits for the offensive line. They spread you out a little bit. So if you're going to blitz, you really have to show that you're going to blitz. I mean, you can't just hide it and disguise it and then all of a sudden come from 10 yards away, because you're never going to get there. So they see it and they do a good job picking up, and that's why it makes it very hard to play man coverage behind and blitz and not get there.
Unga, the ball carrier, cut down by Igboli on the play. Another first down for BYU inside the 20. BYU is number 2 on third down efficiency in the country, number 7 in passing offense, number 8 in pass efficiency, number 10 in total offense, and number 11 in scoring offense. Those are some pretty glossy numbers, Mike.
Well, they are, and I'm not going to take anything away from the offense, because I've talked about how good they are and the weapons they have, but a lot of those numbers are there because the defense up into this game have played so well.
Unga again, wrapped up and brought down from behind by Jake Hutton.
You know, you talk about Max Hall and the comparisons to Jim McMahon, and Jim McMahon, obviously a Super Bowl quarterback, and he was more of a guy that I think was a leader and a guy that managed a football game probably as good as any quarterback. But from a pure aspect of saying, is he one of the top quarterbacks? No, I don't think anyone would say that, but he was able to do so many things, and the big thing that they was able to do in that Super Bowl year was take advantage of a defense that got the ball back to him, and that's what I think BYU's taking advantage offensively this year. Is they've been so strong defensively, shutting people out and getting the ball back, that offensively they have a lot more opportunities, and they've been very solid.
BYU will run Unga again, and Caleb Taylor rolls him down for Utah State.
Also on the spot.
Hey, catch KJazz Cafe weekday mornings from 6:30 to 9 a.m. as the cafe delivers news that inspires and invites smart, thoughtful conversation on the issues of the day. KJazz, your home for news worth talking about on KJazz Cafe. 3rd and 6, line of scrimmage is the 14-yard line of Utah State. Aggie defense trying to keep BYU out of the end zone, 34-14. The Cougars with the lead. They've led all the way in this one.
Look for the back.
Hall brought down. Finally, the protection broke down. Ben Calderwood with the tackle, and does that go as a sack, as a behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, it's definitely behind the line of scrimmage, and probably got lucky that he didn't get the collar.
And that would be
right there, but this is
the first sack of the year, Mike, against that BYU
well,
defense.
it is. They had kind of a half sack where Hall fumbled the football in the first game against Northern Iowa. They called it a fumble, not a sack. But as far as true sacks go, this is going to be it right here. And again, Ben Calderwood just right there able to grab him down. And again, I can't say enough about what Utah State has done in the second half as far as fighting back, because the last time we saw them, they didn't have to fight. They're playing the number 7 team in the country. They're awesome.
We'll take the break, and we'll be back. 3:57 left on the clock in this one. Defensive coordinator Mark Johnson for Utah State. His defense has recorded the first sack against BYU. 4:02 on the game clock. They're putting the game clock up to 4:02 from 3:57. But Ben Calderwood has the first sack against BYU quarterback Max Hall all season long, and it brings up the field goal attempt now from 34 yards. And Payne, who has one converted and one missed tonight, will try and get this one and add to that Cougar lead. That kick is blocked by Utah State. And picked up, so the block denies BYU points, and what a big hit on that play.
72, I liked it.
Wow, that's a huge hit. I'm not sure he felt it much, however, because of the block, but that was a big-time hit.
Well, you're just going to see it on the left-hand side, Steve. They're just going to come get pressure right through here, come up over the top, and it probably just a little delay. And again, you can't let anybody squeeze inside. They'll come in and just, nice job by Utah State putting some pressure on here. Here it is again. Payne looks like he gets off pretty good, but just too much pressure inside. And again, these are kind of things that Bronco Mendenhall is going to talk about is, gentlemen, we did not finish this game. We started out and watch this. Bam! That's my bam. I like that.
Number 72 on the bam was Nicoletto as Utah State quarterback swamped under Daniel Sorensen breaking through. That was Marsh, the ball carrier, and you look at that kind of defensive penetration. Somebody got somebody's attention on the BYU side of things. That's Bronco Mendenhall, head coach and defensive coordinator.
Well, one of the things that Utah State didn't do well tonight, Steve, is when they've had quick turnovers and stuff, and they've had an opportunity to get the ball going, first down is a lot of times been negative yards for them.
There goes the blitz again, but the first pass completed tonight to Morrison, and Morrison has got some jets out to the 40-yard line. That's the guy they wanted to get involved in the offense, and he just hasn't had the touches tonight. I think that's the first time he's touched the football, but you see how electrifying he can be if you can put it in his hands.
Well, you can see right here, Burrell, they're coming with a little blitz, a little pressure. He reads it. This is a little hot route right there for Morrison. Then he just gets to the outside, individual effort for a big play.
And flags before this play can come to fruition.
This, if you're going to jump off sides,
make it obvious.
Well, they might get the center for illegal motion, but if it is, he took a hit.
The official shooing everybody away.
Offside. Defense, number 52.
I can tell you.
5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
You can see it right here in the middle. Watch, he's going to get a smack right in the center. Okay, well, if you're going to get 5 yards, that's what you're going to get 5 yards. I mean, that's not just I got a little fingernail offsides or my elbow or anything like that. And unfortunately for center, he was on the back end of it.
First and 5 now. Blitz shown by BYU. And flags fly. You got motion on the part of Utah State before that fumble. Going to be a procedure, I believe, on the Aggies.
Offense, number 52, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Well, that's the left tackle, Spencer Johnson, who gets called for the flinch. BYU was showing blitz, fill the gaps, and that's all it took, that little flinch on the left side of the line. So they get the 5 yards back that were given up a moment ago. And now Nelson with the reception, and Nelson right at the sticks. Bradley runs him out of bounds. Burrell finding his receiver, and a first down is the result.
Well, Steve, we talked about the emotions and the confidence that Utah State got after beating Idaho 42-17 and coming into this game. And they kind of had the problems with the turnovers during the first half, but I think the way that they fought back in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, really could do a lot of things if they can carry it forward into the WAC conference games.
Blitz again. Burrell avoids the first tackler and the second, although he's got his jersey being taken, and that was just enough. Getting on hold of the back of the jersey, slowing Burrell up in time to stand him up. Alicia was the guy who had a hold of him, and Utah State will now take a timeout with 2:06 remaining in this football game. But you're right, Mike, the way they finished the game here in the fourth quarter, if you're Brent Guy, you've got to be pleased. The team has not quit. BYU obviously in control of the game, and BYU really had made the big plays, taken the football away, done the things that they had to do as the 7th-ranked team in the country. But if it was gut check time for the Aggies, I think they're passing that test in the fourth quarter, and as you pointed out, something for them to build on for the remainder of this season.
Well, no doubt about it, and they've done a good job, and I think you look on the other side, and BYU's going to have some things to talk about.
Let's go down to Alema Harrington on the sideline. Alema?
All right, guys, hey, coming up tonight after the game, of course, got K-Jazz News at 9. We got a special edition of Powerhouse be here live in Logan. We'll talk to the players after the game. What does this mean for BYU for them to stumble against Utah State? And what does it mean for the Aggies? This is a great performance for them in spite of the fact that they will go on and lose this game. They're building some momentum. We'll talk about that. Patrick Kinahan will join me for a special edition of Powerhouse live in Logan coming up after the game in K-Jazz News at 9. Guys?
All right, Alema, thanks. Marsh, the ball carrier. I'm not sure I'd say the Cougars stumbled, though. They're 34-14, and they really have dominated this football game in terms of making the plays. But perhaps not the margin that a lot of people anticipated.
Well, Steve, it's going to be one of those situations where I think Utah State can say, what if?
And Burrell, as a flag flies in, Burrell was going down the sideline, and that was That's going to be a pass interference call.
Defense, number 4. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Results, you're automatic. First down.
Yeah, Brandon Howard was the man who got flagged for the penalty.
Well, Burrell just throws it up, and it's a ball that's underthrown a little bit. The receiver sees it a little bit late, tries to slow down, come back, and Brandon Howard just doesn't look back. He just kind of runs right through him, so it's a good call by the officials there. But, you know, again, Steve, I think that what happens, too, is, you know, Lemma says they stumbled a little bit. And I think people will look at this as a stumble. You're a 28-point favorite coming into it. You don't finish. You have a team that Utah State 1-3 and struggled a little bit and been able to come in and put some points on the board. I think BYU is going to have to look at it, and other people say, you know what, they're vulnerable.
Sack, and the ball comes loose. Picked up by the Cougars. BYU has the football as Elisa falls on it. And you saw in the last graphic 100 yards of penalties tonight for BYU. That will not make the coaching staff happy, but the play on the football there will certainly go a long way towards making Bronco feel better about that defensive unit.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about the stumbles and things like that, Steve. As you see Burrell with this third fumble that gets picked up by BYU. And they come here with a little pressure. The two linebackers come to the outside, a little stunt. Burrell has to do a better job of holding on to the football.
And there's a timeout taken by Utah State. 1:09 remaining in the football game. Burrell under pressure. Got to learn how to hang on to that football.
It looks like they're going to give the ball back to Utah State, that his knee was down.
Offensive unit for the Aggies. Is this a forward progress call?
Please reset the game clock to 1:22. 1-2-2.
Well, the ball really comes out pretty early right there.
A BYU takeaway negated. So BYU continues to extend its longest winning streak in the country. 14 games coming into tonight. Utah with 7. So interesting that the two Utah schools with the longest win streaks in the nation, number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, of course, Utah with a big victory, come from behind late against Oregon State to, of course, upset USC the week before. So you know, a lot of things can happen. There's a long way to go for all these teams.
DeAndre Burrell scampers to the outside. Looks, throws for the end zone. Got a man there. And out of the back of the end zone. That was Morrison on the receiving end, but the football just too long for him as Fowler was in coverage and he brought the ball down. Morrison has got some wheels, and there you see it on the play.
Well, this is just athleticism at the quarterback position here, Steve. He gets the outside, and we talked about it, looking downfield, throws it. It's just a little bit late, runs out of real estate right there. But, again, another very good throw by DeAndre Burrell on the run.
He's got an arm too, Mike.
He throws it very well. I mean, he's a young quarterback. He's got to learn some things, certainly protecting the football, making good decisions in the option game, and, you know, getting to the line of scrimmage and then letting his athleticism take over after that. But, you know, again, at the quarterback position especially, you've got to play, you've got to endure some mistakes to get better.
And a whistle.
That's a delay of game.
Third down.
So it's going to move them back 5 more, make it 3rd and 24.
Well, and that's a situation right there with the new clock, Steve, the way that, you know, you have an incomplete pass, and instead of getting back and then setting the clock at 25 seconds, the ball goes out of the end zone. As soon as they call it incomplete, now it's the 40-second play clocks, and people aren't used to, you know, getting back 45 yards.
Burrell, again under pressure. Stays in bounds, tightropes that sideline, still on his feet, reverses the field. And again reverses the field, and you see the athleticism as a flag flies in late of DeAndre Burrell. He ran about 70 yards and gained about 18.
Well, probably going to be a little penalty blocking the back or something here, Steve. But, you know, again, we've talked about Burrell as, you know, maybe a running back playing the quarterback, a wide receiver. Well, you know, he's more like a kick returner playing quarterback with moves like that.
Personal foul. Face mask.
Wow.
Defense number 42. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
Sean Tolman is the guy who will be tagged with the penalty. Look at this.
Well, he gets the outside. You know, most of the guys are going to get hit right there, get knocked down. Nixon right there. Little face mask right there. And he just continues to keep going, getting the inside. Wow. There's the face mask, just going to swipe across. unbelievable agility to stay in bounds right there and then to continue to go.
And he throws for the end zone. The ball is up and it's intercepted.
They got roughing the passer maybe here, so they might get another shot at it.
Yeah, Burrell was knocked down after he threw, and there is a flag on the play. It was intercepted.
Yeah, Brandon Bradley made a nice play. It looked like he was going to get beat there. Burrell threw it a little bit early. And
roughing the passer, 44. Left the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Daniel Sorensen as the, by the way, referee Bill Aiken, the call with gusto.
Yeah, he had it.
Automatic first down. Yeah, he got a little flair for the dramatic, too. Bronco Mendenhall on the sideline. You look at the penalties now, 130 yards on the Cougars in penalties, 44 for the Aggies tonight. But first and goal for Utah State, 43 on the game clock. Can they get one more before it's over? And that BYU defense would like to snuff out this threat. To the near side. Aggie touchdown. Ronald Scott crosses the goal line.
Well, we've got a penalty again here, Steve. It looks like it might be holding. This one that's going to come back here. But, you know, again, nice job by Utah State offensively. Get the ball outside.
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
And you're right, the holding call goes against Utah State. Taron Lloyd, the tight end.
Well, I had the touchdown earlier, and that time the way that he's reacting, he certainly doesn't think. And of course, everybody does hold, doesn't think they do it. But
well, they'll bring it back again, but 38 seconds left in the football game. Play clock winds down to 16. And from the empty backfield, DeAndre Burrell. Got 5 receivers in the pattern. Throws across the middle, ball is batted into the air. Was looking for Morrison crossing. And a pass is incomplete.
Yeah, it was actually unfortunate for them that time because Turbin, the back, was coming out of the backfield. He was digging across a little bit on the lower level right there, and they just happened to cross kind of midfield at the same time. And the guy covering Turbin, following him, is the one that gets a hand on it. Otherwise, I think he has a shot. You can see Turbin running across, hits his linebacker that's guarding him right in the shoulder pad, and Burrell never saw him.
Ayu was the man who was hit by the football. You'd say got a hand on a ball, but as you point out, really hit him in the shoulder pad. Second down. Again, 5 receivers for DeAndre Burrell.
They're not going to come with pressure this time.
And Burrell's got some room, tucks it, and gets inside the 10-yard line. DeAndre Burrell, Matt Putnam wrapping him up, and the clock continues to tick with 23 and counting. 17 and counting.
And they've got a chance for 2 more plays if they can get this off quick.
Burrell will throw. Wants the corner of the end zone. Receiver pushes off on the defender, and a flag goes in. You had a little chicken fighting going both ways there. Let's see which way this flag goes.
I think this is probably going to go on Utah State this time, Steve. Otis Nelson really had a situation where the defensive back wasn't even looking at him. He could have played a little possum right there and acted like it wasn't coming, and then the ball would have dropped in his hands.
Pass interference, offense, number 14, 15-yard penalty, replay, third down.
Well, here it is. Right here, the ball goes up, and you can see the defensive back's just kind of watching his eyes, not really paying attention. Then he just gives a little push right there, and then not able to come down with the football.
So probably the last play of this football game. By the way, it was Brandon Howard who was in coverage for BYU, but this, with 6 seconds remaining, in all probability will be the last opportunity. And Utah State would love to get in the end zone, and BYU would love to keep them out on this play. Cougar defense already given up 14 points tonight, and that's 14 more than in the last 2 games combined. Here comes the pressure, and Burrell is going to be brought down on the last play, the sack. And the clock is showing double zeros, or triple as the case may be. And that's going to do it. The final score tonight is 34-14 as BYU, ranked 7th in the country, has defended their unbeaten record, but they have been scored upon. And for Utah State's coach Brent Guy, And Bronco Mendenhall, some positives and some things to go back to the drawing board for next week. But the 78th meeting between the Aggies and the Cougars is now in the books, Mike.
Well, it is, and it's respectable, too. You know, you look at what happened with Brent Guy and the last time we were here and everything that's going on in the program of Brent Guy trying to get the excitement going. Tonight there was excitement in the stands. You had a team that finished on the football field. They made too many mistakes, and it's probably going to be a what-if situation. Hey, if we didn't have those turnovers, the 4 turnovers, you know, could we have stood with them a little bit more? And for BYU, kind of the inevitability of we're the best and we're undefeated and unscored upon and all these things like that. They've got some work to do coming back in their next game.
You might have seen Matt Bauman a few minutes ago coming off the shot of him where he came up a little bit lame on that last play. But BYU with the win tonight. Utah State still has the edge in Logan, believe it or not, over the years. 18-15-2 is the record. But BYU with the win tonight. They got out to the early lead, and the Aggies were able to punch it into the end zone a couple of times in the second half for their 14 points. But Max Hall and company able to get the job done. A nice night offensively for them. And for both teams, an opportunity to look at some positives. If you're Brent Guy, you know, you won last 2 weeks ago. You put 42 on the board. Your offense put 14 on the board and really shot themselves in the foot with turnovers tonight. But all in all, not a bad effort.
Well, it really wasn't. And again, they played, and BYU did the things. They took advantage of the turnovers in the first half. They had 17 points off 3 turnovers. They turned it over once, but held Utah State. And so it's a situation where both these teams are going to look at this saying, and obviously BYU stays undefeated. They're going to stay top ranked. And Utah State says, you know, we got to go back and continue to play from start to finish the way that we did tonight. Eliminate the turnovers, and we'll have an opportunity to be successful in the WAC conference.
Tonight's electrifying play of the game brought to us by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. We could have picked a lot of them, but how about individual effort on this one? It's Turbin, and he goes 40 yards, a lot of it on his own on this play, making tacklers miss. And it's the first score against BYU's defense in 11 quarters.
That was a fantastic run, Steve. He read the defense right. He cut back, made a nice spin move that got away from him. Again, shows a little bit speed to the outside.
Well, former track guy, and he shows why, as he's got some moves. And again, we could have picked a couple of them tonight, but that really, from an individual effort standpoint, I might have gone with Burrell on that scramble towards the end of the game. Didn't score, but again, a couple of great individual efforts on the part of players out there, and you know, some good talent. We'll just be back to wrap this thing up, but 34-14 is the final as BYU, with the win tonight, continues their unbeaten season. We'll be back.